to VHS Voyage, where we are on a journey to find, watch, and discuss movies on VHS that we've never seen or never knew existed. I'm Matt.
I'm Devin.
And in today's episode, we're going to talk about
Armed Response.
All right, everybody, today we're going to talk about an 80s movie that's just full of 80s action cheese. And before we start talking about the movie proper, Devin, what kind of facts and information do you have for us about Armed Response?
This is directed by Fred Olen Ray. I think this guy makes porn.
Really?
I went to his IMDb.
Yeah.
He has directed like over 100-something movies.
Yeah.
I'm almost 99% sure they're porn.
Okay.
Because it's like bikini this, or it's like parody movies. Like there was something called like The Good, the Bad, and the Beautiful, and all this stuff. And how has he directed 180 something movies? That would have to be I think he is directing parodies.
So what you're telling me is I need to do a little bit of special research on this guy's filmography, right?
It's written by T.L. Langford. T.L. Langford. I couldn't really find anything else that he's really done. Okay, IMDb, only 719 reviews. Barely any reviews on this.
Okay. IMDb, I'm going to say 4.5.
A little bit higher, actually.
5.2.
5.
Right
on the dot.
I was going to say 5, dude. That's what I was going to say. I was like, we'll go a little lower.
No critic score, but there is an audience score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes audience score, I'm going to go right down the middle again.
That's a little generous. It's lower.
Okay, I'm going to go 30.
Okay, it's 33.
33, okay.
Yeah. This stars two very iconic action movie actors. David Carradine, he's from Kill Bill, Death Race 2000, The Long Riders, Roadside Prophets, Mean Streets. So also Lee Van Cleef from the Dollars trilogy, or Man with No Name, whatever you want to call it. And Escape from New York and The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. And let me tell you the cast member I was excited about.
Okay.
When I saw the credits pop up, I did not know that Mako was in this movie. It made me so happy that Mako was in this movie.
Okay, who is that?
That is the villain. That's the guy, the Asian dude.
Oh, okay. So why were you excited about that?
Because this is a very legendary voice actor from my childhood.
Really?
Yes. This is Uncle from Avatar: Last Airbender. This is Aku from Samurai Jack.
Really?
He plays Master Splinter in TMNT, the cartoon movie. So I was very happy when this man popped up. Also, he's in Conan. He's in Conan and Pearl Harbor, RoboCop 3. But I was so happy when I saw that name. I was like, oh my God, it's the voice actor guy from when I was a kid. So only fun fact I could find is on the last day of shooting, David Carradine got really pissed off, went and got super drunk in his trailer, and they had to literally firemen carry him to set. And it was like one of the worst days of filming.
Wow.
It was the last day of filming. So yeah, that's the only fun fact I could really find about this. There's just not a lot of information about this. So that's really about it.
What is Armed Response about? Well, first, let's start by saying this. This movie is pure cheesy 80s action. So if you like cheesy 80s action films that are just really cheesy, crazy, and over the top, you're probably going to enjoy it. But let's go over the story real quick. All right, so in Armed Response, you've got this family. They are our protagonists, right? And it consists of David Carradine's character, Jim. He's a bartender. He's an ex-Vietnam veteran. He has PTSD from the war. Then he has his brother, Clay, who is a private investigator. And he's got another brother named Tommy. And then his dad, I don't remember his dad's name, but his dad, they all hang out in this bar. They're all ex-military. And they're a very close, tight-knit family, right? Clay, who is a private investigator.
There's a dog in the room. There's a dog in the room.
Oh, good times.
Stay over there.
Good times. Clay, who is a private investigator, him and his partner get a job for a Japanese gangster named Tanaka, who is the legend that Devin was referring to earlier that did all the voice acting. They get a job for him. So Clay and his partner, the job is they have to retrieve his stolen statue. And basically, Tanaka gives them a suitcase full of money. He handcuffs it to Clay's wrist, And he says, in a couple of days, you're going to meet the people that took my statue. You're going to trade this suitcase for the statue. And that's basically the job. That's the job that they have to do. Well, Clay ends up getting double crossed by his partner during this deal. His partner shoots him, fatally wounding him, but he doesn't die immediately. We'll talk about that in a little bit too. Fatally wounding him. Basically, this kicks off the story of the movie because Jim, Tommy, and their dad set out to try to figure out who killed Clay and get revenge and bring the killers to justice. And it just goes so poorly. But that's pretty much the story here. You want to add anything to that?
No, not really. We'll get into it once we start talking about this.
All right, David, what do you want to get into next?
I guess we can just go right to the double cross scene.
Yes.
They do a deal in the desert, of course. They're in the middle of nowhere in the desert. They're doing the deal with the money for the statue. The statue that is never explained the significance of this statue. It's just a statue. You don't even see the statue that good. I still don't even know what the statue was.
Right.
Okay, so the person with the statue pulls up. He has this blonde lady with him. Okay.
Deborah is her name.
Okay, I didn't know her name.
Yeah, her name's Deborah.
I'm not good at remembering names. This blonde lady comes out of the car, Deborah. She pulls out a pistol.
That's like the size of my fucking head.
It is basically, remember in Batman 89 where Joker pulls out that pistol and the barrel's like this long? Yeah. It's like the Batman 89, the barrel's this long. And she's trying to act like a hard ass.
Mm-hmm. And her acting is really over the top. It's a little too over the top.
Oh, the acting in this movie's awful.
Oh, yeah.
So
her in particular.
She's got this pistol. Okay, everything goes wrong, right? Everything starts going crazy. Everybody's getting shot and killed. Cars are exploding, flipping. She gets shot
twice.
And she falls to the ground like she's dead.
And nobody would have survived these shots. There's no way.
But here's the funny thing. As soon as they shoot her, and I quote, this is the next line out of the character's mouth. We shot her tits off.
Yes! We shot her tits off.
That's the line.
We shot her tits off.
Oh,
and
man.
Here's why it gets better. Later in the movie, there's a big reveal. She's not dead. One of the very first lines out of her mouth after she comes back alive is, "You let the air out of my tits."
You can't make this stuff up. You let the air out of my tits.
They had a line about shooting her in the tits, and then she comes back an hour later and she says, "You let the air out of my tits."
Yep.
I read your partner got wasted right after he let the air out of my tit.
Also, let's talk about something else in this desert scene. When everything starts going crazy and everyone's shooting, she opens the trunk, pulls out a fucking rifle. This rifle has a grenade launcher on it, and it has a scope. That makes no sense to be on a gun like this.
Nope.
This scope makes no sense, and she just starts loading off shots with this thing.
And it doesn't look like an automatic rifle to me. It looks like a semi-automatic, but she's just like...
The rifle makes no sense. It has a grenade launcher and a sniper scope on it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That scene, dude, that scene was ridiculous.
Yeah, the whole desert sequence that kind of kicks off the rest of the movie is just crazy. Clay's partner shoots him in the stomach, okay? Clay gets away, but it's very clear that he's mortally wounded. It's a very, very bad gunshot to the stomach with that same pistol, I believe, that Deborah had. So later on in the movie, Jim's at his house with his wife. They're just having a lovely morning, having a conversation over a cup of coffee. Just having a lovely, just normal morning. They're in the kitchen. Jim's wife is standing next to the window, or no, it's like a glass door, standing next to the glass door in the kitchen, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Clay just bursts through the glass window, falling on top of Jim's wife, knocking her to the ground and dying.
Also, David Carradine doesn't give a shit. He just goes, "Clay."
What?
Anyways, the whole scene of Clay bursting through the window was just so weird. But it was hilarious. It was unintentionally hilarious. And the even funnier thing is, like you said, Jim, Tommy and their dad barely react to their brother and their dad's son dying.
Yeah.
They barely have any reaction to it. But wait, there's more, because Tommy heads out to search up some leads, which there's no explanation on what these leads are. There's nothing building up to what these leads are. So that doesn't make any sense. But he ends up getting kidnapped by the bad guy, Tanaka, and the crazy looking dude. And they're torturing him and everything. And throughout that whole sequence, he escapes, but he gets killed in the process with a shotgun blast to the chest. And later on, of course, Jim and his dad find out that Tommy's dead, and again, their reaction is basically nothing.
Yeah, and also the dad at the beginning of the movie says that's his favorite son,
Yes!
and then he doesn't give a shit that he's dead.
Yeah, there's basically no reaction to it at all, right? So it was just weird.
Let's go back to that scene where what's the character? Who's the brother that gets shot? That gets shot
Tommy.
with a shotgun.
Tommy.
Okay,
Yep.
so Tommy. First of all, he's getting tortured by Shang Tsung.
Yes, Shang Tsung from Mortal
Shang
Kombat.
Tsung from
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat is in this movie. Doesn't speak a line.
Nope.
This was obviously a very early role for him.
Yeah.
Doesn't speak a line. He's torturing him with needles. When Tommy gets shot by the deformed man, he flies 30 feet backwards. He crashes into a radio. The radio turns on. And then the dude proceeds to do the creepiest dance I've ever seen in my life.
Bad luck.
Also, why did they not just tell Tanaka that the guy double-crossed them?
Right? Right?
They kept trying. Also, they want revenge for everything that's happened. Tanaka didn't kill the first brother.
Right? It was Clay's partner. So basically what we're getting at here, Jim, Tommy, and their dad make increasingly stupid and bad decisions all throughout the movie, which ends up being why Tommy is killed. And another bad decision that's made is knowing all this shit's happening. Jim and his dad leave Jim's wife and daughter at his damn house alone, and guess what? Big surprise, they get kidnapped.
Yep.
They get kidnapped, and Jim arrives at the house finding out that they're kidnapped. Oh my god.
I want to talk about one of my favorite lines from the movie.
All right, let's hear it.
So Lee Van Cleef, the dad, he is getting his gun ready, and the wife comes in and is like, "What are you doing with that gun?" And he goes, I'm gonna go catch some rats. And she goes, you need a gun for that? And he says, you can't kill a rat without a gun. Yes, you can. That saying makes no sense. There's so many
God.
ways to kill a rat.
Yes.
And he makes it to sound like the only way to kill a rat is with a gun.
Yeah.
No, it's not. A mouse trap.
What's the gun for?
Can't kill rats without a gun.
Oh man.
I noticed another weird thing. Do human beings not exist in this world?
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that.
There's nobody in the bar. When they're in the streets, there's nobody in the streets.
Yep.
There's no civilians anywhere. There's no cars driving on the roads. They go into buildings, nobody's there. Is the world extinct of humans? Are the main family and the villains the only people that exist in this world?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because the final shootout sequence
Yes.
of the movie, during the climax of the movie, there's a big shootout. And by the way, the shootouts in this movie are terrible. Terrible. Sound effects are awful. The special effects are awful. It's just really bad shootouts, especially after watching Heat the other day and seeing that masterpiece.
That was not a good one to follow with.
So there's this massive shootout during the climax of the movie, and it takes place at nighttime in a street, a big giant street with lights on everywhere in the middle of a city, and there's nobody anywhere. There's no vehicles, not a single person in sight. They're throwing grenades.
Yeah.
They're shooting guns.
There's bombs.
There's explosions, and there's, you see nobody. There's no cops that show up. Nothing, right?
So, I don't know. Also, let's talk about another weird scene. Let's talk about the Vietnam scene.
Yeah, the Vietnam scene. Yeah, go for it, dude.
So David Carradine's character is a veteran that fought in Vietnam, and there's a sequence where he has a dream, and the dream is him in Vietnam. They literally just filmed this on a beach somewhere, and they built a bunch of stereotypical huts, and they had him run around and shoot a bunch of Vietnamese people.
Yep. Yep.
In the suit, in the army suit he is wearing is ridiculous. This scene is ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Also, it's just to show that he was like a killer in his past. Like he has this side of him that could come out at any time and mess these villains up. That's it. They do this horrible Vietnam flashback with choppers. Imagine Francis Ford Coppola's like Apocalypse Now with a $10 budget. That's the best way I can explain this scene.
Yeah.
What a weird scene.
There's another unintentionally funny scene. Okay, a couple things. When he's confronting Corey, right, to try to get the truth from him, eventually he gets the truth out of him. After Corey like tries to stab him or whatever, Corey picks up his empty gun and tries to shoot him with it.
Yeah.
So that told him Corey was the double crosser, and he gets the truth out of him. Then he proceeds to turn his fucking back on Corey. He turns his back on him, knowing he literally just tried to kill him. And then that's when Corey hits him over the head with a bottle. And then the funny scene, for no reason, when Corey gets in a vehicle to drive off, he does this just expert car maneuver where he's driving backwards and he does like a 360 and then he backs into another road.
Yeah, that scene was so weird. Speaking of Corey, should we talk about the ending of the movie?
Go for it.
Okay. So I'm thinking they're gonna go kill Corey.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the last person they kill. They kill all the other bad guys. Everybody else is dead. They're gonna go kill Corey because he double-crossed, murdered their brother. The movie ends. The last shot of the movie ends.
Well, real fast before you mention that. So there is a scene in the movie earlier where Corey gets in his car and Deborah's in the back seat, and you find out Deborah's still alive.
That's when she says, "You let the air out of my test."
Yeah, you let her out of my test. She puts a gun against his head. She wants the money, and then the scene cuts there.
The movie, this is not a joke. The movie, they cut away from the family. They're in their bar happy. They've killed everybody. The movie ends. It just cuts to underwater. What's his name?
Corey.
Corey is just dead in the water in his car. It never says how he got there.
And the money floats to the top of the
money's
water.
floating there. He's just dead in the water. I guess it's saying that woman shot him. And
But why wouldn't she take the money?
I don't know. It just shows him dead in the water, and then the movie cuts to black and ends.
Yeah, there's no explanation to what happened at all. Before that scene, after the shootout, after almost all the bad guys are dead except the deformed guy, they're in the bar. It's Jim, his wife, his daughter, and his dad. They're in the bar, right? And they had just killed Tanaka. They're in the bar. I guess they're getting ready to celebrate or whatever when the deformed guy drives his vehicle through the bar. And then it's like this weird stuttering stop motion scene that's like moving frame by frame where the wife is like grabbing the gun and then she shoots the bad guy in his vehicle. She shoots the bad guy. And that whole scene was just weird. But then afterwards, they make a joke and start laughing. They make a joke, well, my bar is a mess, or this sure is a mess. And they start laughing. Like, what about Tommy and Clay? They're dead. You all almost just died. You killed a bunch of people. Why are you laughing?
Yeah. Y'all are all fixing to go to prison for murder. Your whole family's dead. Your wife was almost murdered, and your kid was almost murdered.
Oh, man.
And they crack jokes, and then it cuts to the scene with the guy in the water, and the movie ends.
Yep. The score, same.
Synthesizer 80s stuff.
Yeah. There's, the typical 80s intro where you got the synthesizer. Okay, that was terrible. So, Devin, what are your final thoughts on Armed Response, and is it a keeper?
It's dumb. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Shang Tsung's in it. I can't keep this movie. while you will get a laugh, I'm not gonna ever watch this again.
Yeah.
I would just skip to that one scene to laugh, but the whole movie, no. I can't keep it.
This is also not a keeper for me, although I will say I did have fun watching it. It was entertaining. I wasn't bored at all. You know, it was a very entertaining movie to watch, but it's not one that I could see myself watching again.
Just the one scene.
So if you want to enter the giveaway for Armed Response, be sure and check out the Instagram page, vhs.voyage on Instagram, and you will be able to find the post for the giveaway on Armed Response. You will only have a week from the time this video goes live to enter the giveaway. So that is it for today's episode of VHS Voyage on Armed Response. I'm Matt.
I'm Devin.
We'll catch you all in the next episode.